Want a NAS that's more than a NAS? Stay tuned. So we're taking a look today, boom, at the Thecus N5550. Now, I love the fact that it's a 5-disc drive. And it can run RAID 5. So it can do RAID 0, 1, 5, and I think 6. Yeah, 0, 1, 5, 6, and 10. Basically, what that gives you is, say you load this up with 3 terabyte drives, which is what I have 5 3 terabyte drives in it right now. You can run RAID 0, which is a stripe, so you get 15 terabytes. You can mirror it, which wouldn't really work because one disk would have to be a hot spare. You could RAID 5 it, which is what I run because that's parity. It's going to let you lose one disk before you lose data. You can run RAID 6, which is 2 parity disks, which means in RAID 5 you'll have 12 terabytes. In RAID 6 you'd have 9 terabytes in my configuration. Or you can run RAID 10, which again, you're going to wind up using a hot spare for that. So you'd have 2 disks striped, mirrored, and then a hot spare. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, especially if you want to run like really big drives. It gives you a lot of flexibility that those may have short mean failures, which means, usually the bigger the drive, the more chance you have for data degradation. So you're going to lose data. This lets you, if you want to run 6 terabyte drives, you can run RAID 6. And you can lose 3 of those drives before you lose data. So you can lose 2 drives on RAID 6 before the next failure will cause you to lose data. It's a nice feature to have. And this is a very reasonably priced platform for the functionality that it has. It is not cheap. This is more small business than home consumer, but I really think, guys, if you have like kids pictures, if you have stuff that you want to make sure you don't lose, it's worth the money to have this and then also do offsite backup. Now, this also lets you do stuff like it's Linux, so it has its own app store, which all the stuff's free, but you can go download like McAfee virus scan. So everything you copy to or from your NAS will have an extra virus scan on it. That's pretty cool. I mean, I run virus scan on all the computers, but it's nice to know that the NAS itself is protected. Just kind of double redundancy. And the nice thing there too is you can run McAfee on the NAS and then run something else on your local computer, and you kind of have like a double whammy of, maybe McAfee's good at finding some stuff, but semantics or something has something better. Who knows, right? You can also connect it to a TV over HDMI, which is a neat feature. It has an external eSATA port on the back. Like I said, we'll cover all of this stuff, but I wanted to get over, kind of like the RAID stuff. It does do remote installation, so you can connect to it from another computer over a web interface, or you can telnet directly into the box, or you can console to the box. A million different options. And that's, guys, really what I'm going to go with. The TLDR on this is if you want an extremely flexible NAS that you can do a ton of different things with, this is a really good choice, and I really like how they've done their software around it. It's not the greatest, but of all the NASs I've used, I do tend to actually like it the most. The one thing I will say is the App Store, while it's awesome, is kind of a pain in the ass to use the first time. When you have to kind of play with it and figure out, like, you have to download the stuff and then install the stuff. It'd be nice if they streamlined it to where I could just go through and like check which packages I want in the web interface and then just have them install for me. It's a little more manual than that, unfortunately, but it's worth it. So it also makes it's harder. You actually have to want to put on there what you want to put on there, if that makes any sense at all. So this, other than that, I mean, it's got an Atom bloop, 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 bloop. Let me get this box around here. It's got an Intel Atom processor with 2 gigs of RAM, and I've found this to be totally satisfactory for the stuff I use it for. I also use it as a Plex server, which you can download the XBMC or Plex add-ons from the App Store. That's awesome. So it's really cool. So I just have a little dumb, box on my TV, and I can watch all of my movies that I've may or may not have transferred from one digital format to another, depending on if the government thinks that's legal or not today. I do own them, however. So go over a few of the hardware things that I like and don't like. We'll go over a few of the software things I like and don't like, and then we'll come back to the same conclusion that I think it's awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the front. We have some control buttons here, which are for the LED, which is behind this little panel. Basically, you're going to use this to set up any pre-configured settings when it's headless. So before you connect in, you can change your IP, DHCP, RAID settings. You can do quite a bit from this. It's a little clunky to navigate around. What I would recommend personally is, if you have a specific IP you want this to be, fine. If it's going to be DHCP, you're probably okay in the default settings. Go ahead and plug the LAN into it and use the console application that you can download either from the disk that comes with this or from the website, Thecus.com. And away you go. I did try setting it up via the on-screen display, via being the console, and via the web page, and the web app is by far the easiest way to set this up. So that's what I would recommend that everybody else do, unless you have some specific reasons you want to use the other stuff. You have some LEDs here, and we'll go ahead and just pop this open and look inside. Obviously you can see there's the 5 discs. They all have locks, which, whatever. In my scenario, if you get into my house, I'm probably more worried about you stealing other things than the drives out of my caddies. You're probably just going to steal the whole thing. So I don't really ever lock things unless I'm really, worried that it might rattle. So that is one of the things. When it's sitting down and spinning, they don't rattle, but they are a little, ones that, like this one doesn't have a disc in it right now. It's pretty loose. This top one that's plugged in isn't loose at all. So when they have a drive in them, they're totally fine. But when they don't have a drive, there's no support on the back end of the tray where the drive would normally be plugged in. So it makes sense. You still have your power button here and a reset button, which is extremely hard to push, which is good. You have a USB 3.0. You have an error indicator light. So this will go on if you have, a bad drive, if something's misconfigured, stuff like that. Your disk write, your LAN 1 and LAN 2, and we'll get to that in a second, and your power. So that's pretty much it for the inside. There's your little LED. It's pretty basic, but it works really well. I wouldn't mind seeing this door be metal, but then again, that's just quibbling over things that don't really matter in a NAS. On the back, we have, I believe it's a 92 millimeter fan. Like I said, it'd be nice if this was a little bit quieter. I don't hear it where I put it, but if you had it out in the room with you, you would hear, a low hum. It's not bad. This thing really doesn't get that hot, so the fan never really runs that aggressive. So, at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. On the back here, you have your eSATA. You have 2 USB 3.0s, 2 USB 2.0s, audio, and RGB, your HDMI, and then 2 NICs. So I can't figure out if you can team these NICs or not. The way that I had it set up is I just had it set up for failover. You probably don't need to team it anyways. And then you get probably the fan that I'm hearing rather than the big boy is the little one on the power supply. It is what it is, guys. It's a small, this is a relatively small enclosure for 5 discs. So, I'm willing to live with that little tiny bit of noise, especially because it's away from where I am, which is, where your NAS should be, to be honest with you. Power plug, on-off switch on the back. Okay, so here she is all naked, or he, or whatever you want to call it. So this is Intel Atom. You do have an expansion, a PCIe 1X, which you can't really use for anything because there's no slot on the back, but you know, that's probably a standard that comes with the board. Here's your little industrial grade MDS module that runs your OS and everything. It's pretty cool. It's actually just on a little SATA port on the board. You have your 2 gigs of memory here. There is a slot behind there, so you can upgrade it to 4, or if you want, you know, you can put lots and lots and lots. So if you're doing, say you're doing large file transfers all the time, you're probably going to want to cache some of that stuff. I would say, you know, put 8 gigs in here, maybe even 16. The more you can cache on file transfers, the happier your network and the system will be. You have a COM port, which I don't know what you would actually use for. You have some kind of dual height. I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not sure if it's M.2 or some other standard. I'll try to look it up and put that in the comments. But other than that, that's about it. I mean, there's not a lot here. It's basically just a big disk array with some RAID stuff built in, and it works really well. Like I've been very pleased with it. So in conclusion, would I recommend it? I think absolutely. It's a very good NAS, and it comes with a bunch of extra features. Like I said, it has that app store. You guys can go up and look at the website and see, you know, what apps they have up there. It's always changing. The ones I use a lot are XBMC and obviously the McAfee or McAfee, depending on how you say it. There's some other just like kind of like Dropbox. So basically I back up my Dropbox to here. So it'll keep an eye on Dropbox and see what's up there. That way, you know, if something gets nuked off my Dropbox or if Dropbox is down, I have a local copy of the stuff on my Dropbox. Just neat stuff like that where, you know, it's just nice to have. Like I said, like, do you need to back up your Dropbox? Maybe not. But if you can do it and you have the room on your drives, then why the hell not? And that's what I really like about this. It's extremely flexible, and I can't stress that enough. I've had no hardware problems with it, and you know, other than maybe it's a little hard to install the apps and maybe it could be a little bit quieter, but other than that, I really have a hard time finding pretty much anything wrong with this. You know, the setup could be a little easier maybe, but at the end of the day, if you want a NAS that can do a little of everything, check out the N5550 or 5550. Or 5,550, depending on how you want to say it. So this is Tim for TimmyTechTV, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, check it out. It's a great little NAS. Follow us on Twitter at TimmyTechTV or Instagram at TimmyTechTV or Tumblr at TimmyTechTV or, yeah, you know, pretty much anywhere. You can also check out my vlog site, which is Diary of a Fat Geek. If you want to see some interesting vlogs and what's been going on. Other than that, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.